Suzuko and Aogiri. Not all stories that start with "Once upon a time" are fabrications. This is one of those stories. Once upon a time, in a town of beautiful trees and beautiful rivers, crossed by beautiful bridges, a young girl lived. She was surrounded by her loving family, parents, a sister, and two brothers. They all grew and prospered, working, studying, playing. Now, in the same town, trees also grew and prospered. There was one small grove of trees in particular, planted near some buildings to ornament them and give them a touch of life. The young girl, Suzuko, passed by these trees, Aogiri trees, on her way back and forth from school every day. She loved the beautiful Aogiri, their bark, their leaves, their life drawn from the earth in which they were planted, their rootedness to their place, just as she also felt rooted to her place and her family. Suzuko grew up amidst her family, community, and country. She matured through her teens and into young adulthood. As she grew, she often visited the Aogiri Grove, swinging around the trunks, touching the bark, feeling the life energy emanating from the trees. The trees also grew and prospered, their trunks slowly expanding, their tops reaching for the open sky, leafing, seeding, living the annual tree cycles. Eventually, Suzuko finished her school and began working in the building over which the Aogiri watched. She also became engaged to a young soldier who was fighting in a war that her country believed in, and that she also believed in, because who would not support their own country and who would not believe what their nation's leaders said? One morning, a few days before her wedding, Suzuko went to work as usual. She passed the Aogiri, speaking to them and wishing them a happy day. The Aogiri responded with a rustle of leaves welcoming their friend. Soon thereafter, the bomb fell. Suzuko didn't know what happened. She became aware of terrible pain in one leg and saw that it was trapped under concrete debris and that the building was on fire. Crying and crying for help, she wailed. An injured friend finally found her, freed her leg, and dragged her outside under the Aogiri trees. But the Aogiri were hardly there. Bark incinerated, wood charred, leaves crumbled. The Aogiri also wept in pain and dismay, hurting and sharing Suzuko's pain. After many hours, Suzuko was taken to a hospital where her leg was cut off, too damaged to survive and never to be replaced. Passers-by watched the Aogiri, bark damaged beyond repair, constantly trembling with the pain of the blast. Unbeknownst to her, Suzuko's fiancé had been killed in the war a few weeks before her fateful day. From the hospital, she learned this news and sank into deep despair. Her future ruined, her health ruined, her life ruined. The Aogiri also struggled as the dreadful scars tried to heal. Suzuko finally left the hospital and, after some time living in the darkness of depression and near suicide, became a teacher, teaching children for many years from a wheelchair. She did not speak of her experience, ashamed and embarrassed by her debilitation and the events surrounding it. Meanwhile, one Aogiri in particular began peeping signs of life renewal. Small twigs and tiny leaves began showing from the remnants of the scarred trunk. Suzuko saw the tiny leaves, and merely seeing the new life in the midst of devastation inspired her to renew her life. After many years, Aogiri grew branches and flourished, growing away from the scarred trunk. Suzuko eventually retired from teaching, but began to dwell more and more on her experience as a survivor. She began telling her story to small groups. Then, larger and larger groups, many of them school children like the ones she taught for many years. She began flourishing in her role of hibakusha, witness to the nuclear horror, and soon many opportunities came for her to share. Aogiri also began to flourish, although still badly damaged, as was Suzuko, and began providing seeds to renew its life in the earth. Suzuko began gathering these seeds and taking them with her wherever she went, for children and parents to plant as a way of emphasizing life. Aogiri was also recognized for its struggle to survive. Not only was it transplanted to a peace park as a symbol of life and renewal, but it also called the phoenix tree, rising full of life from the ashes of nuclear destruction. Through its inspiration, Suzuko reclaimed her life. Through Suzuko's inspiration, many more have reclaimed their own lives. Suzuko and Aogiri now merge in our story, pleading to all world leaders and to all humanity to avoid the pure, unadulterated destruction caused by nuclear weapons. As survivors, as hibakusha, desperately damaged, scarred for life, dreams destroyed, life demolished. They plead and they cry and they urge and they whisper and they shout. No more Hiroshima, no more Nagasaki, never again. We remember Hiroshima, we remember Nagasaki. We offer lanterns of peace as a remembrance of the suffering, but also as a symbol of our commitment to peace and the abolition of nuclear weapons, a sign of hope.